All right, well, here we are at the drawing board. And what I want to show you is an example of taking something that is a sketch and turning it into a draft. Now, what we have here in this sketch is we have an oblique view of a little step unit, and we have some measurements along the step unit. We have some information here that the 7-inch rise, 10-inch tread. Now the rise is how high each step is, and the tread is how deep each step is. So 7-inch rise, 10-inch tread, 7-inch rise, 10-inch tread, 7-inch rise, and then a 2-foot deep platform. We know that this is 5 feet across. We know that this little wall segment is 2 feet above this surface here. And we know that this little wall segment is 1 foot thick, and the rise of this step here is set back from the end of the wall 2 inches. We also know that each of the steps has a nosing in approximately that shape, and that the measurement of the nosing is 1 1/4 inches high by 3/4 of an inch thick. Now, what I want to do is, I think that this view, looking at the steps this direction, is the most descriptive view, and I'm going to choose that to be the front view. And as we know, the front view shows the height and the width, but not the depth. Then if this is the front view looking this way, then this is the right side view, this is the left side view, and looking down on it is the top view. So let's take a look at how that's expressed in drafting. Here's the front view. It's a little bit up from the bottom of the paper because I've left room for a title block down here. So we've got the front view here. We've got the right side view here, what it looks like from the right side. And here's an interesting thing that I want you guys to understand. We're going to use our little model makers block again. If that is the front view, a view drawn over here is a view looking from this direction. In other words, if the view is drawn here, it's as if you're standing here and looking that direction. And if you're standing here and looking that direction, the front will be on your left, so that's what that side view looks like. Front view, side view. Same thing over here. If you're over here looking that direction, then the back will be to your left, the front will be to your right. So it's like that. So when things move from view to view, they turn one turn, one turn, one turn. Also the top. If you're looking down like this, the back will be here, the front will be there. In other words, the top looks like that. Now, some other things I want you to notice. And for example, I can measure the rise of each one of these steps, that 7 inches, that 7 inches, and that 7 inches, and just measure it here, and then I can transfer that measurement over here with a layout line. I can transfer the next measurement over here with a layout line, and the next one over here with a layout line. Not having to repeat measuring actually saves time, but it also makes it possible, when you're drawing things that are more complex, to line things up and see what something on one view means on another. Same thing over here. I can transfer the bottom measurement over here, the notch in this wall or right here, and that top measurement there. Same thing here going into the top view. This line here transfers up there, this line here transfers up there, this line here transfers up there. Now, a couple of other things that I've done on this drawing in order to make it a good composition. I've decided to draw a detail of the nosing because the sketch describes the nosing, and so I drew a detail of the nosing following the sketch and the measurements, and I drew that nosing basically using the circle template. Like this top curve of the nosing is a 7/8 of an inch diameter. So that. And then I've also used 45-degree angle thin dark lines that are called section lines to indicate that this is a section view. The other thing I've done here is I've finished this. Instead of having to draw a full-size section view of the entire thing, I can use this specialized line called a break line. It goes past the perimeter of the object on both ends, and somewhere in the middle it has a little squiggle. And in this case, I just drew it with the 30-60 triangle, and that indicates that I've broken away part of this that I don't need, that's irrelevant to the meaning of this drawing, and just included the parts that are relevant. That's called a break line. It's basically for breaking a piece, removing some of it, and just keeping the part that's descriptive. And I've also included some notes up here, the tread and rise note, and a thing that's to be textured to look like concrete. You can also see down here at the bottom, I've put the title of the drawing, or the name of the piece down here. That gives me a compositional advantage in balancing out the title block that will be in here. Also, there are some dimensions. I've used, these lines are called extension lines, and they extend the size of the object out away from the object to a place that's convenient, usually 3/4 of an inch away. And this is called a dimension line, and it's a line with arrow points on each end that's broken, a space in the middle where you put the dimension. And remember, in the theater, we're doing dimensions in feet dash inches. So it's 2 feet dash 0 inches. Here's an interesting thing here. This was too small a space to have the dimension lines inside the extension lines and to have the dimension in there, so I just used the lines pointing into the space and put the dimension in. And here's an even more interesting one. This 2 inches is too small to have anything inside, so I've got the 2 lines pointed inside and the 2 inches outside. Those are little dimensioning tricks, and we're going to get it a little deeper into that later in the term. However, the most important thing for you to understand here is this is a sketch that's 3-dimensional, and we've used orthographic projection, an accurate, true, flat-on, measurable view from different directions that project to each other and relate to each other so that we can see height and width, height and depth of the other side, and depth and width of the top. That's all there is to it. Remember, things project from one view into another, and layout lines help you do that projecting. And here, using notes and a detail to make sure that I'm using that empty compositional space for things that help our understanding of the drawing of the object. Let's get on, let's take a stab at this, and let's draw something. Okay, great.